98.7 ESPN.
It is just that. What a day for the New York Jets. 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. It is Chris Carlin with you for the next 2.5 hours until Knicks pregame coming up in just a little while. You can hit us up on Twitter as always. And make sure you do so at Chris Carlin. We will get to the debut of Name That Tool later on, where you have a chance to go up against a fellow caller, and you two will square off in a spirited game of Name That Tool based on tweets from individuals that could be considered tools. In a word, impressive. Impressive feels appropriate when it comes to Robert Saleh. I watched the entire press conference. I participated in the entire press conference. I enjoyed everything that he had to say about the future of this organization, and it only made me feel better about where things are headed with the New York Jets, to be frank. I think that Robert Saleh is an interesting character. Here's somebody that came in, has been around the league for as long as he has, 16 years as an assistant in a lot of different roles around the league, has been a coordinator for the last 3, is 41 years old. He's got a youthful energy to him, but he's got plenty of experience. He's not just a kid showing up who's supposed to be the genius. He's showing you right out of the gate by letting his defensive coordinator call plays that he's not going to be just locked in on one side of the ball. He's going to be a true head coach. You love everything virtually about what he had to say today. And one question that I asked him during the Zoom news conference was simply this: what is your philosophy on trying to connect with players? How are you as successful at it as you are? And he gave what I would consider to be one of the most honest answers I've ever heard in a news conference. And he said, frankly, just this: that you remember they're human, you remember the human side of all of it, the personal side of all of it. It's a business, yes, but there is a personal side. You have to know that you can establish yourself as a caring individual for them as people. But also, my job is to help them make plays and put them in positions to make plays, not only to help us win, but to help them make the most money possible. Could you be any more honest than that? If I'm a player, it's not just wanting to run through a wall for that guy when you have somebody who's as fiery as they are. And trust me, this is not a knock on that. But remember Herm Edwards, when he was introduced as Jets head coach, we as people just sitting at home and listening to him talk wanted to run through a wall for Herm Edwards. And yet, at the end of it, you have a guy like this who's not hooting and hollering, screaming and yelling. He's being honest. He's saying all the right things. And he says that. And you're a player. That actually shows me, more than anything, how much you care about me. That shows me that you want to be someone who understands what players care about, getting paid and taking care of their families, and also that you want to care about me as a person. You know, I think back to Joe Judge probably about a month or two ago. Logan Ryan is going through the issue with his wife, if you'll remember. His wife had a problem where she was pregnant, and it was a health issue, and it was a very scary situation. And the Giants trainers actually talked to her and told her to get to the hospital right away after she was just going to kind of lay low and just wait till the next day. But she was in a good amount of pain. And they semi-diagnosed it and told her to get right to the hospital, and she did. And she was down in Florida. And the next day, Logan is in talking to the head coach, and the head coach says, listen, if you need to be home, you go be home. This is the most important thing. You go do what you got to do. And Logan Ryan went out of his way shortly thereafter to talk about that in a news conference, just volunteered it. It meant so much to him. And he also talked about what an incredible organization the Giants have. And what do you know? A few weeks later, he re-signs for the next few years. You know, that speaks volumes to me about that organization and about that coach. And that is how Robert Saleh came across to me today. He came across as genuine, as somebody that really cares about the players, but as someone that is incredibly driven. I think he's very smart. I think he's a coach. So many times you have coaches who you have to have probably a little bit of an edge to you. You have to have a little bit of a, dare I say, arrogance to you to be a head coach. He also strikes me as somebody, though, is not afraid to, not even admits, not the word, acknowledge internally what he doesn't know and who knows it better and how to incorporate them best into what they're doing. I loved everything about what I heard today. The honesty really struck me. Now, is Robert Saleh going to turn out to be a great head coach? We don't know. Guys win the press conferences all the time. But I've told you this since Joe Douglas was hired. I think the day that happened, a year and a half ago, June 2019, the Jets started on a course that they have not been on in a long time. And I know what you're going to say as far as what's happened the last 2 years. There was nothing to be done about Adam Gase, and he was positioning the roster to be ready to strike for the future, to make sure that you had enough salary cap room, to make sure that you had tons of draft picks when you had a malcontent of a player and you struck when the opportunity was there. Joe Douglas is like the Cobra. He is striking when the opportunity is there. And I think Robert Saleh was an outstanding hire. And there are so many aspects of this that I believe in. And I truly do believe this. These few points, the hiring of Douglas, the trading of Adams, the firing of Gase, the hiring of Saleh, these are steps in the road toward an eventual championship. It's not next year. It's not the year after. For the first time in a long time, I'm looking at the Jets and I'm saying, I believe in these people. I believe in what they can do to be successful. It has been entirely too long since that has been the case. But it's the case once again. And we're early in the process. But I can see it. I can envision it. I can see it. Hopefully, it's not a train that down the road gets derailed, or down the tracks, I should say, gets derailed. But I think it's all happening. It's all happening. Load up the lines, 800-919-3776, 800-919-ESPN, all-pro linebacker from the San Francisco 49ers, Fred Warner. He is going to join us in just a little while. He loves Robert Saleh. He hasn't played for another defensive coordinator, and he's going to outline for us exactly why Robert Saleh was the right choice for the New York Jets. That coming up in a bit, in addition to the debut later of Name That Tool. I couldn't be more excited about it.
It's Carlin.
Bad guy in a little coat. Bad guy in a little coat.
On 98.7 ESPN.
Hello. All right.
For
I'm having
nonsense,
computer
especially when it
problems
comes
That played actually fine. That was better.
for the best
Okay.
price.
Cool.
They put that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense.